When you're familiar with a topic, reading about it is typically easier and more efficient than when you're reading about something unfamiliar. In particular, how much time and energy you need to devote to the pre-reading task may be determined by what you already know. For example, do you understand terms and concepts used in the reading? Or do you need to first do some research to better understand them? The title of this unit reveals that the reading is a comparison, which is a term that usually means examining both similarities and differences. Keep that in mind as you work through this unit. But what will the reading compare? Let's find out. Here's the reading assignment. It's a newspaper article that appeared in the Lifestyle section of the Globe. Most newspaper articles present facts and details to inform readers, but some present personal experiences to express and support a writer's opinion. Look for clues to determine which type of article this is. What do you think the title means? A whole new ballgame is a phrase you might have heard before. It usually refers to a new or unfamiliar situation rather than an actual ballgame. That's called an idiom, which is an everyday expression that has an implied meaning understood by certain cultures or distinct groups of people. Of course, it could also have a literal or actual meaning, so it might be about a new sport or game that uses a ball. Maybe the author wants you to read the title and think about both meanings. To find out, first, let's scan the article to look for words that may offer clues about the topic and how it's organized. The length and word usage suggests that it is an article offering an opinion that tells a personal story about basketball. What does that mean you should expect to read in the article? It's time to preview the article to consider the structure of the comparison and anticipate the author's approach. We know it's about basketball, but we don't know what the author is comparing. Look at the first sentence. Coaching girls is different. But different than what? Scan down to this sentence. Does he think coaching girls is different than coaching boys? It doesn't seem so, because he uses past tense, which could mean he no longer has that opinion. Did something happen to change his mind? Let's search for clues. There are several important details in this sentence. He thought he was prepared to do something, but wasn't. A significant event happened that affected his opinion, but we still don't know what it was. Here's a basketball term, which describes a move to block a defensive player. And the word gaffe is used, which means a socially embarrassing error. What do all these clues mean? The author learns that his original approach to coaching girls basketball was incorrect. While we have a good idea now what the article is about, there's still more to preview. Look at the last sentence. This confirms some of our thoughts about the content. We could read the full conclusion, but we are only previewing right now, so uncovering more details might spoil the story for us. Sometimes how the author gets to the main idea is as important as the idea itself. How well do you connect to this reading? The author compares coaching boys and girls in basketball. What differences have you noticed between boys and girls' sports? Are these differences based on your actual experiences? Others' experiences you've read about? Maybe common stereotypes? We know the author mentions his expectations, which changed through an embarrassing event. What would it take to change your opinion on this topic? Since this article is about basketball, the author includes basketball terms to tell the story. This is great if you're familiar with the sport because you'll know what he's talking about and can picture the events he describes. However, If you're new to basketball, the jargon he uses may be unfamiliar, so you may need to review the vocabulary in the active reader while you are reading. Even if you aren't a sports fan, consider what you already know about playing games, including board games, card games, video games, to help you connect to the story the author will describe. Whenever you approach any reading, consider what you know and don't know about the topic. And then look up definitions and review background material that will improve your understanding of the subject. The conclusions we've reached so far are based on assumptions we made while pre-reading. Some of the thoughts may be correct, like the idea that an event changed the author's opinion about coaching girls. However, maybe we jumped to incorrect conclusions, like stating that embarrassment changed his viewpoint. It's possible only that moment was embarrassing, and maybe it wasn't significant enough to change his mind. We'll need to read the full article to fill in the details. However, we can make informed guesses about the message we think the article will reveal. So, what do we know so far? The author mentions something known, and then considers something unknown, and then acknowledges that he started out acting on his own set of assumptions. This information suggests he will mostly compare his experience coaching boys with his expectations of what he thought it would be like to coach girls, rather than focusing solely on the differences between boys' and girls' basketball teams. Comparison essays typically either evaluate their subjects or explain them from a particular perspective. In this case, we need to pay attention to whether the author is evaluating boys' basketball versus girls' basketball, or explaining his personal point of view on the subject, without taking a particular stance on which is better. Given the topic and the personal nature of the reading, we can predict that the tone, or the emotion an author uses to write about the topic, will be on the light side, perhaps playful or even humorous. The author's tone helps us understand his writing intentions. Now think about questions you want answered in the reading. What do you need to know about the author to make his personal story believable? What will convince you that he isn't biased, or that he knows enough to write about this topic? What other questions do you still have about the topic? When reading this article, look for points of comparison. Remember, this term means to compare and contrast. Are these similarities and differences obvious? Do they present information that is new and interesting to you? It's time to read the article and learn more about the author and his basketball coaching experiences.